just some quick short remarks. Makofi tafadhali tumpatie moyo.
Thank you. Your Excellency, the Prime Cabinet Secretary, and just in the interest of time, please permit me to stand on established protocols. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, this is truly a big honor that I sat there quietly, hiding. Unfortunately, I think she has located me, but let me extend very deep apologies from my Principal Secretary, Dr. Singwai Koril, who is away on duty, and wishes you well. Perhaps the only thing to say is that these two State Departments are actually semen twins. They're not joined at the hip, they're joined at the heart. This whole process that has gone over has been developed collegially together, and we are hoping that we'll be able, both of us, to deliver. Because there's no line between the State Department of Diaspora Affairs and that of Foreign Affairs. The mission remains the same, the focus is one, and we have a great leadership. And with those few remarks, let me wish the State Department, the youngest in town, a very successful future. Thank you very much.
Asante sana. Asante sana. We recognize that we have Madam Aurelia Rono, PS. We share the same Cabinet Secretary. It would be remiss of us not to have you say something. At least just greet the people for 1 minute, and then we can proceed.
Okay, Your Excellency, the Prime Cabinet Secretary and Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Foreign and Diaspora Affairs, my colleague PS Roslyn, the Chair, Diaspora Affairs and Migrant Workers, Honorable Lydia, Honorable Major Bashir, the Vice Chair, the Committee on Foreign Intelligence and Foreign Relations, Defense Intelligence and Foreign Relations, the Diplomatic Corps, all protocols observed. Good afternoon. Yes, it's a great pleasure and honor to stand before you this afternoon and witness the launch of the strategic plan for the State Department for Diaspora Affairs. I want to take this opportunity to congratulate the State Department led by the able PS, my friend Roslyn Jogu, and the great team of Diaspora Affairs for coming up with this very important document. As we know that this document guides or gives the roadmap for the State Department to deliver on its long-term and also short-term goals. So at this point, because I'm given 1 minute, I've seen the legislative, policy, and regulatory initiatives that the State Department have, and as a State Department for Parliamentary Affairs, we partner together, we work together to ensure that the policy initiatives and the legislative initiatives that they have are delivered. So because of time, I want to wish you the best and wish you success as you implement this great strategic plan to ensure that we deliver to our diasporans, we deliver to our great nation of Kenya. Thank you so much and God bless you.
Asante sana, Madam PS. Our dear PS, Ms. Roslyn Kasure Njogu, CBS. It is your moment to come and speak to us and tell us a little bit of how this journey has been, the sweat and the tears, the laughter and the crying, the wailing, the good times, the bad times. It is your moment to tell us something about the strategic plan. Karibu sana.
I promise not to wail or do any of those things. Thank you very much, Ambassador Helen Gishuhi. My boss, His Excellency, Honorable Dr. Wycliffe Musalia Mudavadi, Prime Cabinet Secretary, and my Waziri. Allow me also to stand on the protocols that have already been established and really just take a moment to thank you all for showing up. It is one thing to prepare a feast and have nobody show up. It is one thing to send out invitations, but it is another to have people actually come. So as I look out, I see a lot of colleagues, friends, people we have worked with over the years, and some new friends, and I'm grateful to have you all here. Thank you so much for coming, and thank you for the remarks that have already been given by the Wajumbe who oversee us, Honorable Haika, Honorable Bashir, PS my sister, Ambassador Barine, the Dean, and my colleague Daniel Mwaura, who is the Director of Planning, who I really want to recognize together with your team for leading the charge on this project, and I really want to say congratulations. And if we can just extend a clap to the planning team at Diaspora Affairs. Asanteni sana. So distinguished ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the official launch of the State Department for Diaspora Affairs Strategic Plan, as you've heard, 2023-2027. I'm very delighted and encouraged by your presence here today, as I have said, because it shows a deep commitment to our friendship and to the work that we do, and to the safety, to the welfare, to the well-being of the Kenyan diaspora. How does one begin to write a strategic plan? Or when you are given the mandate to set up a new department that cares for 4 million people dispersed across over 190 countries, how do you go about doing that job? What are the things that you think about? What are the things that you leave out? What are the things you choose to be your guiding light, the most important work that you do? How do you go about doing that? I have heard it said that if you're going to cut a very big tree, you need to spend, if you have 1 hour to cut a very big tree, you need to spend 50 minutes of that hour sharpening the axe. That is what I have been told. That is the planning part. That is what I think we've spent a lot of time doing, putting together this document. But some of the things that we chose to be our guiding light are they were here a few minutes ago, it was waving. But what we saw as important is to put people first and to put the protection of Kenyans first. So as you read this document that we have now, prepared, and I promise you, Honorable Haika, that it actually answers a lot of the questions that you have raised. We have done the work of ensuring that Kenyans in the diaspora are protected, and it is protection first. If you could have the house up, please. It is protection first. We lead with the people at our heart. So thank you so much to my boss, Prime Cabinet Secretary, not just for gracing this occasion, but I am indeed very grateful for your leadership on all matters diaspora. You're a committed leader, and you have grabbed this department and run with it. And I'm grateful for your support and for the work and the time that you put into this department. I also want to thank my brother Singoe, who's not here but represented today, because he is the big brother who took Diaspora Affairs under his wing and helped us to find our footing. So the growth of this department took a concerted effort, and we've needed to extend and have gotten support from the 3 to 4 million Kenyan diaspora across the globe. The responsibility of caring for 4 million people who are dispersed across the world and not always in the same kinds of spaces and in geographies that have varying issues and concern, that responsibility is not lost on us. But we are also aware that within the region, we are one of very few countries that have a dedicated department that is charged with caring for the state, for its diaspora. As the Bible says, to whom much is given, much is required. So we recognize the leadership role that we are expected to play within this region and even globally in just influencing how governments going forward look at their diaspora and work with their diaspora and engage their diaspora and care for people who live far, far from them. Ladies and gentlemen, this is our inaugural strategic plan since the inception, of course, of the State Department in December of 2022 and the expansion of our mandate shortly thereafter in 2023. As you've heard, it's been prepared in accordance with the guidelines from the State Department for Economic Planning and all of the various documents, whether it's be better, whether it be the AU Agenda 2063, and so on and so forth. And the strategic plan really pieces together our priorities towards protecting, engaging, empowering, and prospering our diaspora. And this is what we intend to do in the 2023 to 2027 period. And it talks about the key initiatives in achieving our mandate. And as Mr. Moore already spoke to us about, our key mandates really are 9, and they are to champion the protection and rights, the promotion of welfare for Kenyans abroad, to promote the continuous dialogue of Kenyans abroad, supporting Kenyans in the diaspora to harness more opportunities for employment and enterprise development, promote the participation of Kenya's diaspora in democratic processes in the country in liaison with other stakeholders, to develop an incentive framework for diaspora remittances, to harness diaspora savings, facilitate FDI and technology transfer, and working with the Ministry of Labor to implement the labor migration policy, as well as a global labor market strategy to secure placement of Kenyans abroad in conjunction with the Ministry of Labor, and importantly, to mainstream the Kenyan diaspora into the national development process. Since the inception of the State Department for Diaspora Affairs, we've made remarkable progress in implementing the Kenya Kwanza plan, especially the commitments made to the Kenyan diaspora. And Mr. Mora spoke about some of those milestones, and he spoke about work that had been done also by the diaspora and consular unit that predated the State Department for Diaspora Affairs. And as I look around, I recognize my dear friend, Ambassador Washington Olo, who was for a long time the director in charge of diaspora and consular affairs when it was a unit, and unfortunately retired in the very early months of my term, and but has continued to be of great support. Asante sana, Balozi. So we've strengthened diaspora partnerships through high-level engagements, as you've heard, and I think over maybe 19 countries in the last almost 2 years during state and high-level visits. We've done evacuation and repatriation of over 1,500 Kenyans from various countries who are facing distress. And perhaps this is an important point to pause now, Excellency, and just maybe remind us or inform us that we are currently in the process of evacuating Kenyans from Lebanon, even as matters have continued to be a little unstable there, and the State Department for Diaspora Affairs continues to run that evacuation plan for Kenyans in Lebanon. We've provided mobile consular services to over 13,000 Kenyans in over 150 cities across many countries, and we have concluded negotiations on comprehensive migration and mobility agreements, most recently with Germany, and last week on Thursday with Austria as well, on the margins of UNGA. And we've supported the Ministry of Labor in the initiation of bilateral labor agreements among other countries, such as the State of Qatar, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, ongoing conversations with Canada, and so on. We have done a number of migration projects, such as the Mkulima Maju, that has farmers moving to the UK, and we are currently working on other exciting projects, including with the state of Nebraska, and partly why Laban is here. Maybe just to say, Excellency, that really in the last 2 years, the data from immigration says that our diaspora has grown by 180,000 people who are specifically moving for purposes of labor migration. So not students, not persons joining their families for family reunification, but labor migrants, properly speaking, or persons seeking diaspora jobs. That number has grown by 180,000 in the last 2 years. We've digitalized services. We have provided, working with the CBK, more diaspora-facing products. We've enhanced public participation by the diaspora on government policy and legislative frameworks through our public participation program, and so on. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, these initiatives have enhanced service delivery, really, to our diaspora and have boosted trust. I think one of the first things that Mr. Mora mentioned as one of the challenges that we found with our diaspora from the beginning is a lack of government trust. And as I have spoken with many persons across the world, and even some of the ambassadors and high commissioners here, diasporas lacking trust in their government seems to be an almost universal problem, where diasporas generally are a little cautious with their governments. And so the work that we have done has boosted trust and confidence in this government, and we have seen that impact even on things that you can measure, such as the growth in remittances. Excellency, in the last year alone, or in 2023, the remittances from diaspora rose to hit 4.18 billion US dollars, up from 4.02, I think, in the previous year. And I think we are on track to hit the high 4.9s for this year. Going forward, and as presented earlier by my planning team, the strategic plan of 2023-27 commits to enhance diaspora service delivery and their participation in national development through the 5 key result areas that Maura spoke about. What we are really looking to do here is to serve Kenyans where they are and to serve them well. Excellency, before I invite you to give us your remarks, let me say that one thing that probably was left out, and I know you're going to speak a little bit about this, is the fact that part of our policy work and part of our institutional framework work, yes, that is coming up is the sessional paper on the diaspora and foreign policy, and perhaps you will speak a little bit about that. And also, I know one of the things that is interesting and of importance to you is the diaspora bond, and I'm also looking forward to hearing that from you. So we have a great few years to look forward to in terms of the things that we are trying to do, very boldly moving to make some of these things done, but always leading with our heart and starting with the protection of Kenyans first. We protect, we engage, we empower, we prosper. At this juncture, distinguished ladies and gentlemen guests, please join me in welcoming the chief guest, His Excellency the Prime Cabinet Secretary and Secretary for Foreign and Diaspora Affairs, to make his remarks and officially launch the SDDA strategic plan. Karibu sana, Waziri Mkuu.
Please be seated. Good music, though. And your colleague, Aurelia Rono, the Honorable Lydia Haika, Chairperson of the Diaspora Affairs and Migrant Workers Committee of the National Assembly, the Honorable Major Bashir, Vice Chair of the Defense, Intelligence and Foreign Relations Committee of the National Assembly, Your Excellency Bayene Rosam, Dean of the Diplomatic Corps and Ambassador of Eritrea to Kenya, Your Excellencies, Ambassadors and High Commissioners present, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. It is my great pleasure to join you today for the launch of the State Department for Diaspora Affairs Strategic Plan 2023 to 2027. This strategic plan is particularly important considering that it is the first for the State Department for Diaspora Affairs, which was established in January 2023. I wish to congratulate you, Madam PS, and your team for the hard work and enduring process that has made this achievement possible. The plan we are launching today is informed by the Constitution of Kenya and various policy and legal frameworks that emphasize planning as the basis for budgeting. It reaffirms the government's commitment towards strengthening partnerships with the diaspora, who are a central part of the Kenyan social fabric. The diaspora have and continue to play a major role in the country's socio-economic transformation. Besides remittances, the diaspora is a key source of skills, expertise, and technology transfer that are necessary ingredients for our economic transformation. Through the diaspora, Kenya is able to attract cutting-edge technologies and rare skills that may not be available locally. As a testament to the importance we place on our fast-growing and vibrant diaspora population, Kenya established the State Department for Diaspora Affairs 21 months ago. This has enabled the government to address the specific and peculiar needs of the Kenyan diaspora in different countries and regions. The strategic plan provides a holistic and robust framework for addressing diaspora-related issues with an emphasis on diaspora welfare as opposed to just remittances. Additionally, we have operationalized a 24-hour call center to ensure that our diaspora have access to prompt assistance regardless of where they are in the world. Taking advantage of the ever-growing digital space, we have also onboarded critical services for the diaspora on the eCitizen platform, making it easier for the diaspora to access government services seamlessly at any time from anywhere. We have made other key achievements, including the following: development of the Diaspora Policy 2024 to respond better to the needs of the diaspora, evacuation of Kenyans from high conflict areas in various parts of the world, including Sudan, Israel, Palestine, and now Lebanon is on the queue. Strengthened dialogue and partnership with the diaspora, creation of an enabling environment for diaspora investments, and developing a global labor market strategy. Ladies and gentlemen, Kenyans abroad make direct investments locally, providing social support or creating an enabling environment for Kenyan exports. Their contribution is evident in various sectors of the economy, including education, health, housing, agriculture, tourism, and trade. It is worth noting that remittances grew to USD 2.8 billion from January to July 2024. That is just the first 6 months of this year, compared to 2.4 billion during a similar period in 2023. And a closer analysis of the trend over the past 7 months of 2024 points to a projected rise in annual estimates from 4.19 billion in 2023 to 4.8 billion US dollars in 2024, a remarkable 14.6% increase. This exponential growth puts the country on track towards sustaining the remittance target of Kenya shillings 1 trillion annually by the end of the strategic plan period in 2027. The increase in remittances not only enhances investments, but also helps to strengthen Kenya's balance of payments and reduce the Kenya shilling's vulnerability to external pressure. Basically, if for some reason the diaspora turned off the taps, our shilling would take a serious beating against other currencies. The strategic plan places the Kenyan diaspora at the core of government planning and acknowledges their role in enhancing the bottom-up economic transformation agenda and achieving the Kenyan Vision 2030. It also resonates well with various global, regional, and national development frameworks, including the United Nations 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, the African Union Agenda 2063, and the East African Community Vision 2050. Ladies and gentlemen, as the PS has stated, the government emphasizes the protection, engagement, empowerment, and prosperity of our diaspora. We are deliberate about protecting their rights and championing their welfare, creating an enabling environment for diaspora investments, skills, and technology transfer, and fostering a mutually beneficial and lasting relationship. One of the emerging issues affecting the diaspora's well-being is the portability of social benefits, including health and social security benefits. Whereas some diaspora Kenyans are ready to return home, they grapple with their social benefits tied to their host countries. If they leave, they lose the benefits. Perhaps it's time for the State Department to take up the leadership role in a conversation about a framework that will allow the diaspora to move back to their countries of origin comfortably. Facilitation of social benefits portability will allow the diaspora to migrate back safely and in an orderly manner in line with Article 22 of the Global Compact for Migration. Social benefits portability has key advantages, including reducing the cost of remittances and enabling access to mental health services for those returning home. On the cost of remittances, there has been lengthy discussions on the need to decrease costs associated with sending money from members of the diaspora back to their countries of origin. The focus is on the need to limit the cost of remittance to 3% of the value of the money transfer in line with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal number 10. Discussions include policies and initiatives that will ensure that fees, charges, and hidden costs that remittance service providers impose are kept at a minimum, thereby maximizing the amount of money that reaches the intended beneficiaries. The remittance costs remain high despite calls for reduction. For the viability of social benefits portability, the transaction costs must be reduced. I therefore encourage all stakeholders to join together in Kenya, regionally and globally, to bring the cost of remittances to the global target. The other issue tied to portability of social benefits is mental health. How, one might ask? This is a domain that has not always received the prominence it deserves, particularly in African societies where mental health remains a stigma and a taboo. We cannot ignore the profound impact that mental health has on the overall well-being and productivity of individuals, including those in the diaspora, more so for those who remain in the host country, not willingly, but because they cannot port their social benefits. Knowing that you can enjoy their social benefits even after returning home, will definitely give the diaspora the peace of mind to continue working, confident that should the time come to go back home, they will be able to do so in a humane, safe, and regular manner, and they will be cushioned. I therefore task the State Department of Diaspora Affairs to lead this conversation and to forge partnerships with countries that have a similar persuasion to negotiate for social benefits portability. The successful implementation of this strategic plan calls for concerned efforts and sound leadership, as well as effective monitoring and evaluation of results. Towards this end, my office commits to do the following: enhance diaspora trust and confidence by championing their welfare and protecting their rights, enhance the diaspora contribution to GDP growth through higher remittances, spearhead initiatives aimed at positioning Kenya as a global leader in skilled labor export, deepen collaboration and strategic partnerships with the diaspora, and also strengthen the policy, legal, and institutional framework underpinning diaspora affairs. I have no doubt that the State Department for Diaspora Affairs, supported by the parent Ministry of Foreign and Diaspora Affairs, has the requisite capacity for effective implementation of this strategic plan. All stakeholders and partners present will in one way or the other contribute to effective delivery of its implementation and outcomes. We look forward to building a vibrant community that will support the government's agenda for deepening the contribution of the diaspora to Kenya's socio-economic transformation. Ladies and gentlemen, let me just have an extra 2 or 3 minutes to emphasize one or two things. First, I really want to appreciate our colleagues from various countries and institutions for joining us here. This is very, very significant. In fact, I'm pleasantly surprised that the representation is this broad. Thank you for being here. It calls for us to share experiences, learn from each other, and focus on the areas that we can jointly target, as I have indicated in my remarks, to improve the whole environment around the diaspora, because we all have them. You have them, we have them. The globe is such that there's a lot of mobility amongst the human society. So we need to work together and improve on the various environments that we encounter. The second thing I may just want to touch on is something perhaps closer to home. Let me start with the bonds. I had an opportunity earlier, because we are beginning to work on a little more closely on the diaspora bond. I went to MIGA. This is one of the World Bank agencies, the multilateral investment guarantee agency of the World Bank. And we got talking, and they said that a more recent bond that they have is India. India has a very, very broad diaspora. And they floated a diaspora bond, and they were able to get over $5 billion from the diaspora. And in fact, they had to terminate at some point because it was really oversubscribed. And they could do a lot of things with that. So we want to be able to now actualize a Kenyan diaspora bond. Because according to the data that MEGA have, and according to the statistics I've given you, the Kenyan diaspora is now ripe because the quantum, the resources available, can now justify a diaspora bond. And this can go either into infrastructure, perhaps the debate we are having around how to develop Jomo Kenyatta Airport and expand it. This could be a candidate where we can mobilize diaspora resources to partner with other private sector resources and actually fund this piece of infrastructure. We could do the same, perhaps for key artery roads like the Mau Summit to Malaba border. We can raise infrastructure bonds and direct resources to this area. So let us broaden our engagement and our conversation, because for those who have had the opportunity to travel a lot and see the exposure, let us not continue living in a fool's paradise in Kenya. The truth is that if you went to West Africa today, whether you're landing in Ghana or you're landing in Togo, or you went to Addis, or you went to Rwanda, ladies and gentlemen, their airports have overtaken Jomo Kenyatta Airport. We are spending too much time, and yet others are running. This is just one message that I want to really put into this debate. The numbers aside, but the fact is that we now must invest in a new airport. So we can deal with the numbers, we can deal with the debate, we can have those arguments, but let's not lose focus that we need to actually upgrade our facilities. The other thing that I may want to quickly share with you is that a few days ago, we left the New York conferences and I took a trip to West Virginia at the invitation of some Kenyans, doctors actually, medical experts. And we went to West Virginia, Morgantown, where they have partnered with the University of West Virginia. These Kenyans, with their enterprise called Unigen, have taken over a pharmaceutical setup in West Virginia. And through their expertise, they have started producing a pharmaceutical product for sickle cell disease, which is soluble so that a baby of 9 months old or 5 years or whatever can now have access to sickle cell disease medication, which is very expensive, and it's a big killer in this part of the world as well for young people. They rarely go beyond 5 years. Now, these Kenyans have actually invested, and then they have used their brain power, and they have produced this medicine. Amazing. There's a Dr. Charles Otieno. There's a Dr. Wycliffe. There's from Kisii. There's another doctor who is also very well schooled in matters of drug administration, working with the Federal Drug Agency. And they all came together with others. And they're also partnering, I saw, with people from Zimbabwe and other African countries, and they have put this consortium together. and they're now producing medicine which is going to be on the shelves of Kenya by Kenyans in the United States, bringing it here for the region to help people. So it is real that this is now a very critical constituency. We cannot afford to ignore it. Let me touch on another one. What about the diasporans who are involved in peacekeeping? When I went to Namibia, they remember with a lot of fond memories General Opande, because he led the peacekeeping effort there, and he was able to assist them transit from the colonial dilemma of Southern Africa and then through to the election. Now they are independent. And in Namibia, there are a lot of doctors, there are a lot of Kenyans who are helping set up medical schools, medical departments in their universities. Today, we have Kenyans in Haiti. For as long as they are there, they're in the diaspora. They are keeping peace. We have Kenyans, part of the ATMIS in Somalia, working with the Sudanese government, Somalian government. They are there to keep peace. Don't forget, these are Kenyans in the diaspora. So there are multiple angles to what Kenyans in the diaspora can do, working with the rest of the international community. And this is why I just want to emphasize that this is an area that we need to spotlight. And that is why P.S. Njogu was telling you that we want to move a notch higher. We want to make sure that Kenya's foreign policy and diaspora policy does not remain a document which is the preserve of the executive. No. We want Kenyans to own this. We want Kenyans to participate in having a say in where we go. And this is why, for the first time, we are on the road to make sure that for the first time, Kenya's parliament will actually debate a sessional paper covering Kenya's foreign policy and the diaspora policy, so that they can be engaged, they can be involved. We were amazed, but pleasantly so, although it was a rude shock, when the diaspora, the Gen Z were in town, and they said they don't know why a president travels out of the country. That is a very serious statement as to where we have been with our foreign policy, with our engagements. Because the young people want to know, what do you do? Do you just board a plane and disappear? What is it? What is there for the Kenyans in all these foreign and diplomatic engagements? We must answer that question. And to answer that question, it is time the parliament engaged fully with our foreign policy. What is it all about? What is it all about? Does it get us to incur more debt, or does it help us settle debt? Is it giving us an opportunity to bring in foreign direct investment, or are we chasing away foreign direct investment? What are we doing? Now, these are fundamental questions that must be answered and must be owned by the people of Kenya. And Parliament is the institution that represents the people of Kenya. And therefore, that discourse must be there. And in the process, we shall have broader ownership and understanding of where we want to go as a nation today and in the future, and how to grow our investments. So, ladies and gentlemen, I thought I should share those few remarks with you, and it is now my pleasant duty to officially launch the strategic plan. Thank you.
Excellency, we are going to have a countdown to the launch of our strategic plan, and because the State Department for Diaspora Affairs embraces digital space, we have a QR code for the strategic plan. So 5, 4, not yet. We could have had some music as we count down. 5, 4, the curtains should be opening. 3, yes, but 3, 2, 1. Have the copies for the PCS to present the copies. Karibu, karibu. Yes. Our QR code for the strategic plan. Could we stand nicely and have a photograph, maybe a bit this way? A copy, please. One more copy of the plan. There we go. Okay, photo, please. Thank you. Could we have the diplomatic corps, or maybe that would be a bit crowded. The directors, please, from the State Department for Diaspora Affairs. Can we move a bit to the middle such that it is balanced? The directors, please hurry up. So, Excellency, we would want for you to be at the middle, please, if that is okay. The directors, please join quickly so we take a photograph before we have. There is a lot of space this other side. There's a lot of space this other side.
They balance gender.
There's a lot of space. Even me lazima. Are we all inside?
You have a copy?
Or do we need to go to the... Is that okay now? Could we please request the diplomatic corps to join us down here such that we have one group photograph with the diplomatic corps, if they can be down here? Yes. We recognize the presence of the Kenya School of Government.
So that we just have the diplomatic.
Could the rest please leave the stage so we only have the diplomatic corps? The diplomatic corps, some of you can come up. Yes, but for everyone. The rest of the photographs, we shall take them outside. So can we please have the, could we spread out, please? the back, could we spread out a little bit and move a bit closer? We are not seeing some. Iko sawa? Thank you very much. Excellency, I request you please take your seats for the vote of thanks. The photograph with the staff of the State Department for Diaspora Affairs will be taken outside.